Hello and welcome. It's your host, Lou and Alex Wong. This is the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. We're here live from NBA Courtside Restaurant with about 25 minutes left to go before the 3 p.m. trade deadline occurs. A lot of activities already happened. Of course, we know last night Brandon Ingram got traded to the Raptors. We gave you some thoughts earlier, but I think we wanted to give you the morning after thoughts with that trade as well. But first and foremost, we got to see two things. Number one, Davion Mitchell, he got flipped to Miami. Want to get your thoughts on that, Alex. And then also, is this going to be Chris Boucher's last 20 minutes as a Toronto Raptor? Because there's also been heavy speculation that Chris could be on the move as well. But Alex, man, how you doing now that we fixed the mic?
Oh, I'm great, man. Just had the Kung Pao lettuce wrap here at the Courtside Restaurant. 5 stars out of 5. But yeah, let's get to the trades. So today we got the Davion Mitchell trade heading to Miami in exchange for PJ Tucker, second round pick, and some cash. Well, it feels like, the Raptors are pretty high on Jamal Shead. He's been playing well, and Davion was not going to be part of the long-term future of this team. And that's about it for me for this trade.
Yeah, I think all season the Raptors have prioritized Jamal Shead over Davion Mitchell. Many times Davion's been a healthy scratch, for example, and Darko's been asked about it, and they've certainly shown preference towards Jamal. They have Jamal obviously on a 3-year rookie scale deal right now, and so that's their backup point guard moving forward. Davion has been a good Raptor, though. I got to say, I'm actually, for the short amount of time that he was here, and not a lot of it that successful considering the Raptors season so far, but I've actually really enjoyed sort of his time as a Raptor. I think that once it was clear that the Raptors did not extend him coming into the season, because after he was acquired from Sacramento, they had a window there for the Raptors to extend off his rookie scale contract. They didn't do that, and it didn't really seem like, even in the conversation that I had, in terms of the front office kind of just wanted to see a wait and see with him. Let's see how he does first, and then maybe we commit. But, yeah, ultimately they decide that, look, we already have our point guard of the future, at least a backup, in Jamal Shead. And Emmanuel quickly, it's unlikely that he's going to have nearly as many injuries as he did this year. So they flipped Davion Mitchell. But I got to say, before anything else, he was a consummate pro. He was always super involved. Even small things every 9:05 game, it felt like he was always there, right? And he was just there courtside, sitting with other members of the Raptors organization. But sometimes it's just 2 or 3 Raptors there. You know what I mean? Darko's there sometimes, but Davion's there a lot of the time. He showed a big connection there. I think he did a good job of just fitting into the team culture as well. Was certainly a guy who brought a lot of energy. Again, even a small thing, but even in warm-ups, this guy used to always warm up with Jakob Poeltl just to get extra reps in of how to sort of feed him in the spots that he wants to. Players typically warm up by themselves. They don't help each other warm up like that. And I think more than anything else, Davion actually was a consummate pro. And, I think Miami acquiring him is probably a sign that they would like to keep him, and maybe they want to sign him. But more than anything else, I just want to say thank you to Davion as a Raptor. Yeah,
there's a theory going around that Sleepy Pat Riley thought he was acquiring Donovan Mitchell. Do you buy into that potentially being the case here?
I think they moved the trade deadline from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. so that
just for Pat.
Just for Pat, man. They're like, let's not make Pat stay up at age 80 until 12 a.m. No, I could see him being a Spo type of guy. He is a really good defender. Remember, I think Davion Mitchell did say in a press conference that he thinks he's the best defender in the NBA. And look, I don't think that he has that type of impact overall. I don't think the stats say that. But also at the same time, when you watch him, the eye test is nobody ever gets around that guy. So I thought that, the majority of the Raptors' wins this season were actually with Davion as a starting point guard. But again, we knew that he wasn't a long-term piece. And, yeah, they get PJ Tucker. They get a future second-round pick. I think that's a Lakers pick in 2026. So I guess no Bronny, no Bryce, no Bryce for the Lakers. We just took their second-round pick. But, I guess it's fine, It's
PJ,
decent value for a guy you weren't going to re-sign.
PJ, you're expecting going to get bought out, and it's unfortunate he's not going to have his third stint with the Raptors. And that's about it for the Davion Mitchell trade. I feel like
the only thing is I was actually pretty hyped for PJ's first or second stint with the Raptors. The first time he came back to the team.
Yeah.
I thought him and Serge, they came in the same trade deadline. They wanted to re-sign PJ too. Remember, PJ was like, I got higher ambitions. I think the Rockets are closer to a championship, so I'm going to go to Houston instead. Surprise, surprise, 2 years later, the Raptors win the championship. But I actually really like those 4 months that PJ played as a Raptor for the second time.
Well, that was a tough stretch of PJ's career because
Yeah.
he got traded here and then he had to guard LeBron in the playoffs. And I swear there was an 8-year run where he was exclusively guarding either LeBron or KD
Yep.
in the postseason. Like when he went to Houston, he had to do it. Wasn't he in Milwaukee
He was in
when he was
Milwaukee.
guarding KD in Brooklyn?
Well, they did beat the Brooklyn Nets. That was the height of the Brooklyn Nets, was losing in the second round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah, shout
remember
out
it
to
was
PJ
like-
Tucker.
Remember, KD was like, "Oh, I scored 50, but it was a tough 50."
No, they
It was a tough 50, man. I had to work
they were
for
like,
those.
man, PJ's such a great defender, man, holding KD to 47, 7, and 7. Man, but he really fighting through those screens, man. I was
mean,
like, damn.
I
Anyways.
respect PJ, but I mean, he's definitely going to be bought out, and we'll see which team he goes to. Other than that, I think Chris Boucher, again, there's still 20 minutes. There are still reports that float out there once in a while. Michael Grange had pointed out that the Denver Nuggets' interest in Chris Boucher is very real, and there is a chance that they try to acquire Chris. At the same time, though, contracts are just pretty difficult right now for the Raptors to take on after sort of doing the Brandon Ingram thing. Also, on the same side, I think the Nuggets never really had picks to sort of liquidate in this kind of trade, and so you would need to basically take on Dario Saric, maybe Zeke Naji, and Daron Holmes. It was one of those shitty trades I pitched to you 4 days ago, and you were saying a hard no for that. So I don't imagine that changes all that much. We know that the Clippers were also in on Chris Boucher. That was the trade that they were initially going to make for PJ Tucker. We had 2 different ways of acquiring PJ Tucker at this trade deadline, but ultimately they went with Drew Eubanks instead. So I don't know. I mean, I think Chris probably just lasts through the deadline. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like, I wouldn't mind seeing him on Denver. I think it'd be cool for him to get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And the Raptors have basically in the last 2 days done everything that you would expect them to, right?
Yeah.
They've moved out Bruce Brown's contract. They used Kelly's contract as well to get Brandon Ingram. We knew that Davion Mitchell wasn't going to be part of the long-term plans. So Chris is really the only last piece for them right now to take care of.
Yeah.
So
Breaking news, boys.
breaking.
Shams Charania reports the Atlanta Hawks are trading Cody Zeller and Houston's 2028 second-round pick to the Rockets.
Damn.
Sorry.
How does everyone feel about that?
It's a groundbreaking development here. Yeah, I mean, we'll see again. If there are more moves, we know that over the course of the deadline here, that there will be a couple, even after the 3 p.m. that will trickle in. I think for the Raptors, though, if I had to guess, they are mostly done in terms of at least acquiring more pieces. Maybe they get one more call for Chris, but I don't anticipate anything crazy happening the last couple of minutes here. So I think we can circle back to what happened last night, because I guess
Sure.
we did get a chance to sleep on it, and the Raptors have now acquired Brandon Ingram. Well, it remains to be seen, I guess, if he's going to be playing much for the Raptors. If I have to ask you right now, would you want to see much of Brandon Ingram this season?
Well, he's been out since December, right?
December with an ankle sprain.
And I'm pretty sure there's just an understanding that of him getting traded here, that it's not about this season. You would assume that making the trade, probably they've already talked about what that next contract might look like.
Yep.
So I don't expect to see much of Brandon Ingram. Maybe when he's healthy, he can come back for a bit of a run and then get shut down. Because, even though the Raptors playing really well lately, I feel like the goal still in the second half of the season is to accumulate some of those losses and hopefully stay in the bottom 5 for their draft odds.
Yeah.
So,
I think that was the immediate bit of shock for a lot of people. It was like, wait, hold on. Aren't the Raptors trying to tank this season? So why are we adding a piece like Brandon Ingram? If you look at the tankathon right now, I don't think there's actually going to be that much more movement based on sort of the teams and the positions that they're in right now. So Washington has the worst, they're going to be the worst record in the NBA. They're 9-4-41. That must mean they actually won a couple of games. They're on a 3-game win streak. Whoa. What are they doing? There's no way they've beaten 3 straight teams. But Washington, New Orleans, Utah, Charlotte, those are the teams that are going to be like firmly behind the Raptors. I really don't even see a chance for the Raptors to be worse than some of
Well,
those
the
teams.
Raptors are already looking at the standings 4 wins ahead
Yes.
of those teams that you just mentioned.
And again, don't forget the Raptors do have the easiest schedule, especially in March. Like the NBA was basically like, yo, we want to see all the good teams play each other in March, so all the bad teams. It's going to be a lot of Raptors versus Hornets versus Portland versus Washington. You know what I mean? Like y'all are just going to play each other during that
You
time.
better pay those ticket prices to go to Scotiabank.
Oh man, Raptors Jazz on a Sunday. I can't wait. But
No, but you're right though, because like if you look at the teams that are close to Toronto here, Brooklyn's at 17 wins,
Yep.
and then you're getting into teams that are like going for playoff spots.
Yeah.
Like Philly's at 20. I know the Bulls like shipped out some players, so they might fall. But if you're looking at this, like
But the Bulls already have 22 wins.
Yes,
Like,
the Bulls are
majority of the teams on this
22.
list won't finish with 22 as is.
like the Raptors really are probably going to end up either 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
If you're looking at this overall.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, again, barring some sort of like weird turnaround, like Portland, for example, is also like 9-1 in the last 10 games. Nobody noticed because no one watches the
Yeah, I
Blazers.
got to tap in on Portland, man. What's going on in Portland right now?
Well, Scoot Henderson making a jump, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Shaden Sharp, you know,
Okay,
is over
okay,
there.
okay,
Jeremy
okay.
Grant exists.
Yep.
We'll see. Have they made a trade, by the way? I feel like weren't they supposed to trade one of their centers?
Yeah, I don't think anything's happened yet. Yeah.
you know
we'll
what?
see, man. We still got time.
But yeah, regardless, I think confidently the Raptors will be in that 5 or 6 kind of range. I believe so. If you're 5th, you have a 10.5% chance at the number 1 pick at Cooper Flag, and if you are 6th, you have a 9% chance at Cooper Flag. By the way, the best overall chance you can get at Cooper is 14%. So we're really just talking about like 4 or 5 percentage points here.
Yeah, I think the bigger question too with the Ingram trade, and I hear a lot of people talk about how this seems like not the right time to make a move to add a talent like Brandon Ingram. Like the plan was to tank and figure out what this year's draft was going to look like. But like I think if you're talking about tanking, if you were going to go that route, you're always going to have to do that for like multi-years.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like you were just going to get into this draft, get somebody, and then suddenly without remaking the rest of the team, you were going to be on a winning track.
Right.
And to me, it feels like Messai is trying to go back. Because like when Messai was building those really good teams with Kyle and DeMar, the thing that people was always talking about was that he was doing like 2 things at once, right? Like he had a good team, and at the same time they were developing young players to flow into the rotation, right?
Oh, the 2 timelines?
2 timelines copyrighted by Joe Lacob of the Warriors. And to me, this is what Messai sees now, right? I think
Right.
he's evaluated a little bit this season. I think there's upside to a lot of these young players who you can see as potential bench guys. And it all goes back to just how much Messai believes in that starting lineup, that core group. Like, he's always been super high on Scotty. Some people disagree. And clearly, like, he's going to speak, I think, later today. Like, would love to hear his thoughts on what he thinks about Brandon Ingram.
Yep.
But, like, he's clearly now trying to build the same model to me in terms of we have Jakob in the starting lineup, we have IQ. RJ we can talk about later because I'm not sure how this affects his future
Yeah,
with his money
There's
coming
a real
up. but,
question
like,
about that for sure.
but like to me, that's what I took away from this deal is that Messai believes that having this team built, he's confident that he can go into next season and really start looking at winning now versus spending another year getting into the lottery.
Can I pitch you a theory? This is not based on any reporting or any sort of discussions with people who would be involved in this major decision, but
No sources.
so when Messai re-signed his contract in 2021, it was a 5-year deal. So that's expiring at the end of next season in 2026, at the end of next season. So after this summer, he'll be going into the expiring year of his deal. And obviously there's an ownership change with Rodgers taking over the majority share of MLSE. If you're Messai and you want to continue to stay as a GM of the Raptors or president of the Raptors, and quite frankly, he's done everything possible to earn that distinction, like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, does it not bolster your case for a new contract if you bring in Brandon Ingram and also a team that has a lot of new picks, like whatever picks they end up picking up this year? I mean, again, I guess 1 in 10 chance at Cooper. But even not Cooper, it could still be someone else, right? Like, you know, you can come in with a lottery pick. You could say, I got you Grady Dick, I got you Jacoby Walter, I got you Ochai Agbaji, I got you this young group, Jamal Shed, you know, this incoming pick here. It could be, again, it could be Cooper, which would be pretty crazy. And then you've also got this existing group that, like you mentioned, is pretty competitive with Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Jakob Poeltl. You can still trade those guys too for value if you need as well in the future, but does not now bolster your case a little bit more when you go to your boss to ask for another extension?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that Messai's got the track record here, that he doesn't feel like he needs to accelerate any plans, that he doesn't feel like he has to do this, right?
That's fair. And by the way, I'm only floating this as a theory because of the fact that I just want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I trust Messai's integrity, and I really do think that he's mostly already, he's just doing what he thinks is best, which right now is you get Ingram for a very, very low price.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I know people are complaining that okay, it's is it the right move at the right time? You know what I mean? But also at the same time, it's buying Ingram at this price is like getting a Ferrari that has a lot of miles on it, but you're paying Honda Civic prices.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you're still walking away with something that could potentially be very cool. And I think it's just the price is right in this situation. And honestly, the fit could be right too. I'm not going to rule that out either. But anyway, sorry, your thoughts on Messai's
Yeah, no, I just
behind the
think this is kind of just his approach now. And I guess the other perspective is just that you have Scotty Barnes, he's in his fourth year, and I'm even thinking if they were to go through the alternative of doing a multi-year tank to try to get a couple of lottery picks to pair with him, are we not getting back into the same situation when Scotty first came here, and his timeline didn't really match with Pascal, Fred, OG? At some point you have to line these things up and just get a winning product.
Yeah.
You can't go 3-4 years of this process because they haven't necessarily tore it down in a way where they're starting over.
Right.
They already have these players that they're committed to, that I think they're very high on, and they want to build around Scotty, IQ, and now Ingram.
Right.
And I guess that leads to my other question too, is I don't think they're going to be able to pay all those three and RJ on an extension. What do you think this means for RJ long term, if anything?
Well, now that you brought in Ingram and you've recently extended Scotty and recently re-signed
Guys?
IQ, what's going on?
Sorry to interrupt you. Obviously, you've been waiting on this news right now, so I'm just going to break it to you, even though it's been broken for a bit. Dennis Schroder, per Chris, is being rerouted to the Detroit Pistons.
As we mentioned yesterday,
wow.
Dennis Schroder's son was Steph Curry's biggest fan and was really disappointed when he got traded from Golden State. So who is Dennis Schroder's son's new favorite player now?
Well, he is now on the Detroit Pistons. What's going on?
Daddy, I want to see you play with beef stew.
Yo, I feel bad for Dennis Schroder, guys. I actually feel bad. He might sign an NBA record for the most times a person.
I feel like they're trolling him at this point.
So
did you need to This is like when you book a flight and there's 4 connecting flights, man.
Yeah.
No, did they need to reroute him to Utah first?
So I think the record is Trevor Ariza was traded 11 times in his career.
Yeah.
I think this is probably Dennis's 9th time getting traded.
Yeah.
This is crazy, man. He's been traded 4 times this year, according to the audience.
Yeah.
Do you not feel a little bit bad for Dennis Schroder, who we used to obviously talk to sometimes on the show?
Man, the NBA is a business, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, Nico Harrison. Yo, Nico, there's still 9 minutes for you to do another crazy trade.
Yeah.
Derek Lively to Toronto.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dennis Schroder. I don't know. Yeah, shouts to Dennis. He might be all right in Detroit.
He had some good games in Detroit last year,
Yeah.
but
Man.
I do feel bad.
Things
I do
really
feel bad
fell
for
apart
Dennis.
right after he got to Golden State.
No, I think things fell apart after he didn't take that deal with the Lakers, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
let's be real. When we look back on it, we're like, damn,
Yeah.
because he did sign with Toronto. I mean, last year the Raptors were like, we want you to be our starting point guard. We want you to be a veteran, leading voice on the team. And he's like, okay, sounds good. And I know Darko from OKC. He comes here, and then it was like, yeah, that's just not working out, man.
Yeah.
So we got to flip you. Then he was a little upset because Raps were like, well, we're kind of going back on the idea that you're starting. I mean, come on, man. This can't be the first time. But still, I can see it from a human perspective why he was upset about that. Gets moved to Brooklyn. Had a decent start with Brooklyn this year. Was looking really good. Got his trade value up. Gets moved to the Warriors.
Yep.
the Warriors flip him for Jimmy Butler. So he goes to, where was he? Was he in Miami? Was he technically in Miami or no?
I think he
or
was
he went straight to Utah.
I think Miami technically, and then to Utah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now he's in Detroit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
just
would just
to
say for Dennis, like
settle
don't
your
buy
worries, guys,
houses unless it's in Germany. What's up?
Just to sell your worries. Per Chris Haynes, Detroit plans to keep him.
Yo, they've
Somebody wants him. I'm so happy.
Yo,
honestly.
Detroit gotta buy him out just for jokes, man.
No. Who was Detroit's backup point guard?
I want to see him land on another team, man. He should land back on the Lakers.
Well, yeah, I think the Lakers is probably the best fit that he had. But honestly, now that they have Luka and LeBron, I think they might be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but we wish you the best, Dennis. You know, we always had a good time talking to each other. So
yeah, but the Ingram thing, I was asking you about RJ.
More
Yeah.
breaking news.
Oh,
Breaking news.
More breaking news per Chris Haynes. You guys didn't even get a chance to talk about this yet, but Reggie Jackson got traded to the Wizards. Reggie Jackson also got waived by the Wizards.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what to say to that.
We're
Yeah,
You don't
I'm
necessarily have
speechless.
We've interrupted a conversation about Brandon Ingram for Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways, shouts to Reggie.
Yeah, I mean, Reggie Jackson was in Philadelphia because he's like what's his name? Paul George's buddy.
Right.
They go fishing together.
Yeah, they podcast together.
They pod together.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man.
Um,
where do you think Reggie Jackson lands? Give me your hot take.
Yeah, so anyways, I was asking you about Brandon Ingram and
Uh-huh.
what you think. Does this impact like RJ's long-term future with the team?
Well, okay, look, there is somebody going to be the odd one out here. And the Raptors have made recent long-term commitments to everybody else, right? Jakob, there's a chance for him to get extended this summer. I think the Raptors have no other alternatimes at center. You kind of have to keep Jakob.
And Jakob's good. I like Jakob.
And Jakob's also good, and he's solid, and he's a pretty good player. Pretty happy to be here, et cetera, et cetera. I think with RJ, it's going to be interesting because I think, already with Ingram coming in, obviously he starts. I mean, clearly he's one of the 5 best players on the team. He's going to start. That already pushes a guy like Grady, to the second unit.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I think Grady probably could use a little bit more time to just get comfortable in the role. He clearly has potential to be great. And we've seen that at the start of this season, but we've also seen that sometimes he gets overwhelmed in the role. He can be quite inconsistent, and that kind of drags down the starting group. Again, if the Raptors trying to win, starting Grady Dick next season probably isn't the way to do that, right? It's more of a developmental move. So that's already been bumped. And then with RJ, it's like, well, who is going to be the go-to scorer with this group, right? Like, obviously, Scotty's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. He's going to, run a lot of the offense. IQ's the point guard. He's going to also run a lot of the offense. Chances are RJ was already kind of the third option behind those two, maybe second option, depending on sort of how IQ was going to approach playing point, whether he was going to be passed first or not. But then, now you bring in Ingram, who also needs the ball a lot. Like, Ingram is not a guy who is primarily going to play off the ball. Ideally, we teach him to be more effective off the ball, but he's going to have lots of the ball. He loves a little mid-range pull-up. He's great at it. He's also really good at distributing as well. So there is going to – I think for Darko, there really will be a challenge to sort of, find that right balance. And I think for the front office, push comes to shove, they've recently committed to 3 of the other starting 5 members. So we got breaking news here? Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Marcus Smart has been moved. Wow. The Memphis Grizzlies are trading Marcus Smart and a 2025 first-round pick to Washington Wizards in a multi-team trade that sends 2 second-round picks to Memphis. Wow, they just...
What does that mean for Dennis Schroder?
Yo, the Wizards are loading up on a 3-game win streak, bro. Damn, man.
Yo, I also feel bad for Marcus Smart, man. He became very irrelevant after leaving.
Yeah, that happened real quick.
He also shaved his head, and he lost a lot of aura, too, I feel like. He had cool hair, man. What happened to Marcus? What do you think Memphis is up to? Because they're basically just moving him.
Memphis is one of those teams that could make a big move, but they just haven't gone in there. I mean, they could have had a nice package for Jimmy Butler, but apparently Jimmy was playing hardball, didn't want to go there.
Right.
I think they're pretty happy with their team. I mean, you just saw them yesterday.
They were great,
and they're
man.
playing great. They have a
Yep.
lot of depth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dangerous team in the playoffs. They're number 2 seed right now.
Okay.
So
All right.
we'll see what happens.
So
Chris is still a Raptor.
Chris is still a Raptor. We'll see if RJ's still a Raptor long term as well, just because of the fact that there is a bit of a roster crunch here with everyone involved. If I have to push up to shove, 2026 is RJ Barrett a member of the Raptors.
The Los Angeles Clippers are trading Kevin Porter Jr. to the Milwaukee Bucks for Marjon Beauchamp.
Good. Now we don't. Well, now I can root for the Clippers without rooting for Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah. No,
Thank God.
That was really more for Alex. Yeah.
Trade that man to Guantanamo.
Thank
Anyway.
God.
2026 is RJ Barrett a Raptor? Yes or no?
I'm going to say no. Yeah, I think he's the next piece to move. Wanted to hit you with a little Wong-Stradamus
Okay.
prediction too. Was thinking about this after the Brandon Ingram trade. So we talked about how the Raptors are likely going to land. Let's say if the lottery balls like don't move too much.
Yep.
Let's say they get like the 6th pick in the draft.
Okay.
Would you entertain trading that in the summer for a win now player to add to this core?
Trading the 6th overall pick.
Yeah. I don't know who that player is, but every summer some of these guys pop up.
Yeah.
I've pitched you Zion before, and I think you said no.
You spin the block on the Pelicans. You're like, yo, I know BI and Zion didn't work for you, but maybe it'll work for us.
I'm just saying we're gonna get to the summer. Like they've added Ingram,
Yeah.
they get this pick. It's like assuming it's not going to be the number 1 pick or even in the top 3.
Well, we're definitely not trading the number 1 pick.
Sure,
Yeah. Right.
but I'm saying I feel like the Raptors are going to put that out there.
Okay. I would need to see sort of like what the options are at that time, and then I would try to consider it. Honestly, right now, like basically with the way the contracts are lined up, like you can't keep all 5 of these guys, especially after re-signing or extending possibly RJ and possibly extending Jakob as well. Like the money is already pretty tied up with the starting group. Don't forget you might have to extend obviously Grady Dick down the line, Ochai Agbaji down the line. You have a lot of things to sort of consider in that front. So I do think that one of the major money players right now, whether that's RJ or IQ, I think those are the 2 most likely for me that could be moved next. But again, like let's also see how it all plays together first, right? And that's one of the things where if we're not going to see Ingram this season, it's hard to just give them the full commitment without at least seeing how the group looks together.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they kind of just did that.
Yeah, we already had this problem
with IQ and RJ.
Yeah.
But we still kind of committed to it anyway. And like luckily it's worked out for the most part. When IQ's healthy, I think he's a really good player. But like, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money for not an established product. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're paying like a full house price on a pre-construction right now.
Lots of analogies today, man.
I'm sorry.
Where's the poker ones?
Okay, so someone held up their phones. So that means another trade happened?
Trade?
Sacramento Kings are acquiring Jake LaRavia from Memphis.
All right, we need better trades.
Wait, what is Memphis up to, man? Memphis is making a lot of moves. Like they.
Yeah, are they trying to land KD at the buzzer? What's going on,
Yo,
man?
bang, bang! Yo, that would
a-
actually be sick if they landed KD at the buzzer.
We need
man.
a KD trade, man. Nothing's been the same since the Luka trade last weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs. Nice. Yeah.
It's just care. Like I mean, no one cares about that one.
Oh, man. Do you want to, we had some like instant reactions
Sure.
when you
Let's
did
do it.
the Brandon Ingram pod last night, and there were some reactions from the listeners. So
Wait,
maybe
we lost our reactions on here.
We did?
We did. Can you find them on
come
your side?
No, I got it.
Okay, yeah. Add
Yeah,
them in,
let's
Alex.
see.
You
What's
got
up?
it.
What's
Let's see.
happening?
So these are reactions to the Brandon Ingram trade.
Oh, we're gonna revisit what people
So
said.
someone said too many defensive liabilities now. Thoughts?
Honestly, since he's replacing Grady in the starting lineup, that's actually an upgrade. Even though Ingram is probably an average defender.
Okay.
But that's totally fair though. I mean, the Raps are better offensively, but
Also, I
we'll
just
see how
want
much
to
they're
note
better
for
defensively.
the live, it is 3 p.m. Eastern, so it is the technical end of the trade deadline.
Yeah. Well,
We could hear some stuff come through, but as of this point, it seems like Chris Boucher survived the trade deadline.
yo, Chris.
Yo, how do we feel about that? Chris
A round of applause for
stays.
Chris Boucher. You are never leaving Toronto, man.
Yo, send
you
this,
are never leaving.
Send this video to Chris, man.
Chris, we're proud of you, man. Resign with the Raps right now.
Chris, we're proud of you for
Announce an extension for Chris
not
Boucher.
getting traded. You had no control of this.
Well,
No, I wanted Chris to stay long term.
we got Raptors move. Hold
Whoa,
on.
whoa, whoa!
Breaking
I think
Indiana
I heard
Pacers.
James Wiseman. I'm shook.
James Wiseman in cash to the Toronto Raptors.
Wow.
Oh man, light
In
years.
cash, not Joe Cash
Just
from the
cash?
score.
Well, he's injured. Like, he tore his Achilles.
Right.
So this is a straight salary dumping move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't get
People
his
are
jersey.
really excited in the room right now. They're like, whoa, James
I think people
Watts.
around this time of year are just excited for a transaction. Like it's like transaction.
I'm
It's like a little dopamine rush, you know, when it
Yo,
hits.
ni
Yeah.
hao. We almost got the two
Yeah.
Mandarin speakers.
That's
of the
right.
NBA.
James Wiseman, very well versed.
We almost got him and
In
Kyle
there,
Anderson.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Instead, we got a PJ Tucker buyout coming.
Oh
Yeah.
man, is all the cash so that we can buy out PJ Tucker?
Oh my god.
We didn't even get a
Um,
second round pick in this one. That's tough.
Oh man.
Alex, do you think you'll get a chance to follow up on your PJ Tucker story?
Yeah, so I did tell this story on the pod like a while ago when PJ Tucker was on the Houston Rockets. I was in the locker room interviewing him before the game, and he was sitting next to Joe Johnson, and Joe Johnson was like towards the end of his career. He had like an ice bucket for his feet. This was pregame.
He had just eaten a whole burrito.
And then I guess he let out this like crazy, silent, and deadly fart that ran through the whole locker room. And PJ Tucker was just like, yo, what the hell? And then he asked me to leave. And he said, we'll finish this interview
He
later.
said this interview is over.
Yeah, he said, yeah. And Mike D'Antoni's like, damn, man.
Well, I guess you could follow up with PJ now, so that's kind of sick.
Yeah. All right. Next, another comment after the Brandon Ingram trade. Someone said, we are the Chicago Bulls now.
I think that's aggressive, man. Like, are we that? We're not that mid. I mean, I think
These were the immediate reactions.
I think you would really need to feel like there's no more upside for Scotty to reach,
Sure.
right? Because I think with the Bulls, it was like you had like it was getting led by veterans, right? Like DeMar, Vucevic, Zach LaVine, like those guys are pretty established players in the league. You can argue that Ingram is already pretty established. So like I can maybe see what the thought was coming from here, but I do think that like the front office, whether they're right or wrong, they actually saw that the Raptors have a chance here to potentially try to be in that playoff picture next season in the Eastern Conference. That like, I mean, at least in towards the bottom end, like does this bring the Raptors anywhere closer to like an Indiana's level or Orlando's level?
Yeah, I think it pushes them a little bit closer. And again, it just
Okay.
you just got to kind of like I guess we're not going to see this full team until next season is the thing, right?
Sure.
Like the rest of this season is just a write-off.
That's what I'm saying. We are kind of buying a lot of money into the team on mostly hypotheticals at the moment.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
'cause we're
And
not
I
gonna
think
get a
that's
chance to see
why
them play
that's
that
why a
much.
lot of people are reacting to the trade.
But I don't
in
think
that
we're
way.
the Chicago Bulls. I think that's pretty cynical.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Another comment was, "Is this Rudy Gay all over again?"
Well, I mean, to go back to my conspiracy theory about the Messai thing, which again I don't agree with. I'm just throwing it out there because I wanted to hear your thoughts. But that was Colangelo's thing. It was like, if I can make one last move that really makes it all work, then maybe I can keep it. The thing is, this doesn't even need to be said. Messai is infinitely more successful as president of the Raptors than Colangelo was. So I don't think it's that. I think more than anything else, it's more like they saw a chance here to get an all-star level player for one first-round pick that is going to be in the teens. That's not even their own. It's Indiana's. So it doesn't preclude them from tanking in the future if they want to pivot in that direction. They still have that option in their pocket. But again, you are getting a very, very good player for one future Pacers pick. I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and the Raptors, I think, hopefully
How cheap do you think you can get a player? You know, we don't sign anybody in free agency. Like, we legit don't sign anybody in free agency.
Yeah, and I think the Raptors just want to get to a point where, like you mentioned, they still have their own draft capital, and they have a lot of young players that are coming up, and it's again just cycling through to that spot where they're in a position to like make another big trade if they want in
Sure.
like a year or two, right?
Yeah.
But I think most people's reaction is just like, oh wow, this really just kind of bumped up the timeline when they thought
Yeah.
this was going to take a little bit.
Well, I mean, again, like maybe they just didn't want to do like a full-scale teardown and wait for a very long time, because when you think about the OG trade, that was already traded for two players of immediate value in IQ and RJ, and then the Pascal trade was kind of a trade for the future because you were mostly getting picks. But then they've turned those picks now into Brandon Ingram. So both of those trades have turned into like more pivot trades rather than like liquidate kind of trades. So. We'll see if they're right, but I don't mind seeing a good team. And again, like, you got Ingram for one Pacers first. Like, I'm okay with that. I really am.
All right. I guess that's it for the Raptors, eh?
That's it for the Raps. What about the rest of the league, man?
Yeah, so let's go through. Jerome's going to throw up these trades that have taken place the last few days as well that we haven't had a chance to do any quick reactions to.
Okay.
So we're gonna do Rob Pelinka scale of 1 to 5,
Okay.
and just rank the impact of it.
5 Pelinkas is good.
Yeah, 1 is like Patrick Baldwin traded for a second rounder, and 5 is the Lakers trading for Luka.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
So
scale.
first one here, the Clippers traded Terrence Mann and Bones Highland to the Atlanta Hawks for Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks. What's your reaction to this trade?
So the Clippers get 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's not bad because Terrence Mann, we reviewed the contract. Like, it's pretty long.
And Bogdanovic is going to be a nice player for them.
Bogdanovic is kind of nice, man. I mean, a little
Add
bit of
another
extra
score.
Another. I mean, they're shooting our positions pretty good right now.
I'm very high on the Clippers, as you know.
You got Norm and Bogdanovic as your like shooters right now.
Yeah, my new conference finals prediction is Lakers-Clippers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, damn.
Wow.
Adam Silver getting his wish right now.
Wow,
man.
crickets. Yeah.
Everyone's like, we don't care. We want to hear about James Wiseman for cash. Tell us more. Okay, about James Wiseman for cash. How could you just trade a person for cash? Like, what? That doesn't even make sense, man.
All right, what's your Pelinka score?
Pelinka score for this overall trade, I'm going to give this 3 Pelinkas.
I agree. Three Pelinkas. There we go.
Yeah, because I think Bogdanovic is going to have an impact,
Yeah.
and we can finally remove Terrence Mann from the J.J. Hickson Hall of Fame of untouchable players.
Untouchable mid. All right.
Yeah. Okay. What
Next
else?
trade.
What else we got? So Phoenix Suns traded Yusuf Nurkic, most unhappy guy in the league, and a 2026 first rounder to the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Martin,
Say that name, bro. Say it out loud.
Vasily Micic, and a 2026 second rounder.
It's not terrible, man.
Immediate reaction. This is 1 Pelinka.
You know
Yeah.
what? I feel bad for Yusuf Nurkic. There was some time in his career where it was pretty exciting watching him.
Sure.
But that time is gone, and now he's with the Charlotte Hornets.
Well, a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Yeah, me and Mike Budenholzer just don't talk. Yeah,
Well,
like we don't have a
I'm
relationship."
sure he'll get along just fine with Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball's going to be racing up and down the court. He's just going to be moving. It's
Okay,
the slowest-
one Pelinka next.
This is a 1 Pelinka, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, good for him, I suppose.
Okay, this was late last night. The Lakers traded Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, their coveted 2031 unprotected first rounder, and a 2030 pick swap to the Charlotte Hornets for center Mark Williams.
Yeah, as we talked about, I mean, after the Luka trade, the number one thing was they got to go get a big, ideally an athletic big. Mark Williams is actually quite good. I mean, he's 23 years old, averaging 15.6 points and 10 rebounds a game. He can dish it a little bit as well. He's certainly a really good athlete. Big body. You know, he's young. He can grow with the team. The issue is the man has played 43 games in his rookie year.
Whoa, breaking, guys.
Uh-oh.
Per Mark Stein, the Warriors made a run at Nikola Vucevic, but talks fizzled.
Oh,
Yeah.
brother. Wow.
Sorry, guys.
Pump fake. Anyway,
Yeah.
Mark
Just gave you an
Williams.
opportunity to use your new wand graphic.
Again, it's got to be as exciting as as James Wiseman for cash. I would even trade Joseph Gasharo for James Wiseman at this rate. No, but 43 games in his rookie year, 19 as a sophomore.
Yeah, some
and then
injury concerns.
He's
with
only
Mark
played
Williams.
23. Like this is a real risk that he's actually going to be physically able to play.
Mm-hmm.
If he's able to play, I think it's a pretty good trade for the Lakers, especially based on what they need right now.
Yep.
And of course, you're trading for a player that you can go and extend at the end of this season. So I would say this is a solid 2. It's like a solid trade, yeah.
I was gonna give it 4.
Well, 4 for what, man? Also, my favorite tweet I've seen today is I've seen way too many opinions on Mark Williams. There's no way you all watch the Charlotte Hornets. And I firmly agree with that statement, man.
Yeah, I have not watched a single minute of Mark Williams in my life. All right, what's next? I love this one. The New Orleans Pelicans traded Daniel Tice and draft compensation. I believe this was 2 second rounders to the OKC Thunder. So this was like a cost-cutting move for the Pelicans, and Sam Presti's just out here collecting picks.
I love that the OKC Thunder are have the best record in the NBA now, and they're like, Yeah, but we're still in the business of recycling second round picks.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like,
it's
no matter
pure
what,
business.
this is our
Yeah.
hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I actually respect Sam Hinkie or Sam Presti a lot for this one.
Someone said that's unethical, and like that's why OKC doesn't deserve to ever win.
I mean, it will run into a point where they're going to break the draft, where they're going to have like 10 of the 50 selections of 1 year. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, it's
yeah.
going to be a real annoying thing. But
Mark Tatum's just gonna go to Sam Presti's house.
he's like,
They'll
yeah,
just do the second round.
the
there.
draft should just be done from wherever OKC's arena is.
I'm telling you, man. OKC make that move for Kevin Durant this summer, man.
I
That's
mean,
the
you would have
move.
loved to see them add a little bit because I think, again, like the West has retooled to some degree.
Sure.
You know, the Warriors getting Jimmy, obviously the Lakers getting Luka, which is nuts. Like, you know,
Breaking. Woo! Per Chris Haynes, as he's reporting on NBA TV, Trey Young's future with the Atlanta Hawks is becoming murky.
Oh my goodness!
How can you report this right after the deadline? That's like such terrible timing.
He's like, the last straw was you giving up on DeAndre Hunter. I want to leave. Nah, it's tough, man.
Nothing hits after Luka, man. It's tough.
No, but like, why didn't the Nuggets like stock up? Why didn't the Thunder stock up? You know, the Thunder are just gonna be like, well, we just got Chet Holmgren back from injury. That's like a trade onto itself. Like, that's like the ultimate rationalization. Like, that's what parents say. Like, if you grew up in a poor household like me, your
Yeah.
parents are like, well, your birthday is on December 23rd and Christmas is 25th, so. I mean, you know, we already gave you your Christmas present. You know what I mean? Like, that's Chet Holmgren coming back from injury. As
That's
like
what we do to
their
you,
trade
man.
deadline edition. So
Yeah. So I guess
come on, man, go get somebody, man.
the bigger question is like, do you think after all these moves now,
Yeah.
like have things shifted for you? Like, if you're looking at the West, like, has anything changed in terms of like a team that you're looking at that's like, oh, they radically like improved? Or like you said, you're pretty disappointed that maybe one of the top teams didn't make one move here.
I would have loved to see Denver like add more pieces to the roster. Like, are they even able to do that? I think there might
Right.
be like over one of the aprons, and so we'll see if they're able to play in the buyout market or not. They should have dumped some salary so that they can at least get a buyout guy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Bruce Brown, for example, got bought out by the Pelicans. The Pelicans aren't going to use Bruce Brown.
Right.
They're not going to re-sign Bruce Brown. So go get him a buyout and get him onto a good team. You know what I mean? And if you're Denver, you must have a good chance at landing Bruce Brown, who you just won a championship with 2 years ago. Yeah, I would have loved to see Denver add some more. I would have loved to see OKC, you know, add some more. But it's also like difficult because, like, who's the worst player in OKC's rotation? Like Isaiah Joe.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
like when they come to the playoffs and they play 7-8 guys, like Isaiah Joe might be the worst guy they have on the floor. Like, are you gonna get someone better than that? I don't know.
I'm
Probably
just
not, to
saying,
be
man.
honest.
Like, well, Chet's coming back. I think he's back tomorrow.
yeah.
And then I don't know, man. Jalen Williams is your number 2 option in the playoffs.
Well, they weren't gonna change the number 2 option. Like they got to see how it goes. But
They
yeah.
can get KD, man. Yo, we're losing their attention. James Wiseman. No, never mind.
Yeah, everyone looked up. They're like, "What about James Wiseman? What about
How
him,
many
man?"
Palinkas, guys?
Which trade was that? Oh yeah, that's a
Tice.
0 Palinka. You don't even need to put up a graphic.
Okay.
What the trade was.
Daniel Tice for
Oh.
for picks.
Don't put Daniel. Don't put Palinka up there, man.
Yeah, no Palinkas for that one.
All right,
0.
up next for you guys.
Okay, this one, oh yeah, this happened yesterday. Another big trade. The Bucks sent Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and a pick swap to the Wizards for Kyle Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., a second rounder. So essentially swapping Middleton, bringing in Kuzma.
Yeah.
And the thought was after that they were going to have some flexibility to maybe
Sure.
make another move.
Yeah.
Looks like they did not. So now the big 3 in Milwaukee is Giannis, Dame, and Kyle Kuzma.
They're probably trying to play in that buyout market.
Sure.
So I think they were able to get out of the second apron with this one. But ultimately, you know, I hate Kyle Kuzma, bro. Like basketball wise.
Oh,
like,
this one's
if-
just personal.
If Kyle Kuzma played in your pickup run, you would fight him. Like, no, seriously, like, you would fight him. Like, after your 6th airball 3, you would be like, stop fucking shooting. Like, you would legit punch him. Like, seriously, like, the way he plays basketball has to change. And this has to be that initiative. Because I feel like Giannis would actually punch a guy. You know what I mean? Like, we already seen him spear.
Where is this conversation going?
Have you seen Kyle Kuzma? Why are you expecting him to contribute to a championship team?
He's been a champion. Come on, man. Put some respect on that bubble team.
That might be the fakest part of the bubble was that Kyle
It
Kuzma
wasn't
was the
fake,
champion.
man. They had to play basketball and then like ride bikes with each other
I
like at
disagree.
Disney.
I disagree.
No, that was
Kyle
the
Kuzma,
hardest championship to
This
win.
is a wake-up call. You got a lifeline. You're now playing with 2 future Hall of Famers. Do your best to play serious basketball, please, for the sake of basketball in general.
Oh,
Breaking
Daniel
news!
Tice waved. Yeah.
Oh, God.
He didn't even get to go with a Pelinka.
Unfortunately, we have Mr. Raptors woman saying, I saw Will at Sport versus Media. He's got a little Kuz in him, to be honest. And that's right. I would punch myself if I played myself in basketball, man.
what are we doing? Next trade.
Wait, how many Pelinkas for Middleton Kuz?
Oh, yeah, that's a solid 2 Pelinkas for me.
That's 2, yeah. That's 2.
That's 2 Pelinkas.
That's 2.
Yeah. Okay, we got anything else? Okay.
This is our last one.
Oh, my
because
God. The Hawks traded Cody Zeller and a second
Oh, wait, we went over this one. So
rounder
this
to
one
the
already.
Rockets.
Did we do
This
this
is the one here.
Oh, yes. This is Caleb Martin for Quentin Grimes. So Caleb Martin went to the Dallas Mavericks.
I mean,
Quentin Grimes went to the Sixers. Damn, these are all tough.
That's a mid for mid.
I'm
man.
giving that
that's
a
one. That's one.
I'm giving that a 0 because I'm so bored by this.
That's a 1.
I
That's
just
a
wanted
one.
to see Pelinka on here, so I'm going to
Yeah, okay, we'll give it 1 Pelinka.
Yeah. All right, here
Man.
we go.
Oh, yeah, Wizards sent JV to the Sacramento Kings for City Sissoko and 2 second-rounders. JV and DeMar DeRozan are reunited. DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are reunited.
Uh-huh.
How are we feeling about this Sacramento Kings team?
This is, by the way, this is a 1. It's a 1 Pelinka.
1 Pelinka.
And the 1 Pelinka is just for JV escaping Washington.
Sure.
The Kings, I mean, they're going to be great on offense. Like, they just are, man. Like their rotation, like, it's just bucket getters. Like, they have, like, 6 Brandon Ingrams, basically. That's their roster. So it's kind of fire. It's a 1 Pelinka meter, but it's a 6 on the Brandon Ingram meter. Defensively, it's just vibes, man.
Yeah.
Defensively, it's called get the defensive rebound or inbound the ball. That's it. Like, they're not going to get anybody to stop scoring. But I'm happy for JV because it is a lot better of a situation than Washington was.
Yeah. Anything else, Jerome?
We have a few more. He already got waived, but I really loved this screenshot more than any of the other ones. The Reggie Jackson.
Oh, brother.
Can you please read this out for us, Alex?
Yeah, so this is a trade between Washington and Philadelphia. To Washington, a first-rounder, least favorable of Oklahoma City, Houston, if it falls between 5 and 30, and the Clippers in 2026, and Reggie Jackson. To Philadelphia, 2027 second pick, the most favorable of Golden State and Phoenix. 2028 second rounder, Golden State. 2030 second rounder, most favorable of Phoenix and Portland. 2030 second rounder, Washington. And someone named Jared Butler.
The actor?
This is crazy.
Mike
Damn,
Scott
we
was
should have
first
went
on.
live last Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like NBA GMs are just screwing around now. Like, why are you protecting a pick if it's the less favorable of 3 teams, but also it's protected from 5 to 30? Like, that's a ridiculous reservation. You know, like, imagine you came to a restaurant and you were like, yo, I want it reserved if I bring a party of 6 or more on the day of a Friday between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. But otherwise, it's your seat. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, who's keeping track of that? Like, if you want it, you can have it, I guess.
Let's
But,
go back to how badly you want to punch Kyle Kuzma.
Yo, go watch Brick Center.
happened there?
Nobody posts Kyle Kuzma more on Twitter than Hater Central and Brick Central or Brick Center. Those
Someone
are the
said
two
because of
accounts.
Jared Butler, someone's like, yo, Butler to the Sixers. This trade deadline has really simmered out.
This is a tough one, man.
All right. I
Well-
guess that was the trade deadline.
Oh, there's more.
Lonzo
yeah.
Ball.
Lonzo Ball, LiAngelo Ball's brother, has agreed to a 2-year, $20 million contract extension with the Bulls. I'm happy for Lonzo. Lonzo
Super
getting
happy for
back
Lonzo, man.
into playing, and now, you know, Chicago's doing a little rebuilding, and Lonzo gets to secure a new contract. So,
What if he's the modern day Sean Livingston?
yeah, it'd be super cool to see him, like, just carve out a role like that.
Because he's a very,
On a
very
better
smart
team.
player, man.
I'm
I
just going
actually
to give
really
him
love
5
Lonzo's game, man.
Pelinkas for the feel good. Is that
Yeah,
cool?
5 Pelinkas
Yeah,
for feel
5
good.
Pelinkas
Yeah. Shouts
for
to
Lonzo.
Lonzo, man.
And last year,
Oh, yeah, and this was today. The Hawks traded DeAndre Hunter to the Cavs for Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 swaps.
Yeah, I mean, I like this for Cleveland. For a very long time, they needed a big 3-and-D wing because their 4 starters already are really good, right? Like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. Like, that's a really, really strong 4 players to sort of build around. The issue is that 5th guy has always been a little, like, wonky. Like, it was Isaac Okoro, but that guy can't shoot at all, you know, and he's pretty good defensively. And then they tried, like, Max Strus, but that was more offense. And not a lot of defense. You know, they've swapped other guys around. Like, you know, it never has been a seamless fit. DeAndre Hunter is actually having a really good year. And I know that maybe that the Hawks have been trying to get off of DeAndre Hunter for a while. And, you know, he was, for example, part of the Pascal potential trade package back then, which obviously wasn't accepted. But DeAndre Hunter is averaging 19 points a game. He shoots 46% from the field, 39% from 3. You know, he has a bit of a mid-range game as well. Not that he's going to be using much of that in Cleveland. Like, it's pretty solid. And then he's like a big wing. Like, he's like 6'8", 6'9". He's pretty strong. Like, this actually fits really well. I could see him slotting into Cleveland's starting 5. And then Karis LeVert, he's actually been pretty good for them as a source of offense off the bench. But again, when you come out to when you go into the playoffs, like, how much are you going to need that versus having a really solid starting 5 and a big wing to throw at a guy like Tatum, to throw at a guy like who else? Giannis. You know what I mean? Like, I like this move a lot for Cleveland. So it's the right move, and Georges Niang gets to go to Atlanta as well.
Yeah, and Karis LeVert's a great candidate for the all-average team if we haven't put him in there yet.
How many Pelinkas?
This is a 4 for me. I like this one a lot.
4 Pelinkas.
Yeah, 4 Pelinkas.
Okay.
Shouts to Rob Pelinka, bro.
Well, I think those were all the trades, right, Jerome?
That should cover it.
Yeah.
That should cover it. So, but breaking news.
Yep.
The Washington Wizards are sending Marvin Bagley III to the Grizzlies as part of the deal. Johnny Davis also sent to Memphis. So I don't know what Memphis is doing, but they have shuffled their third unit very effectively here. And Marcus Smart has been sacrificed.
That's a good sign to wrap up. So in terms of the overall Raptors trade deadline, we had the Brandon Ingram trade. We traded away Davion Mitchell. Mm-hmm. We acquired James Wiseman's rights on injured reserves.
We've kept Chris Boucher.
Overall, how many Pelinkas would you give the Raptors trade deadline?
I mean, the Raptors did basically free agency, but in February, which is what they do. Like, this is what they've done for 4 straight deadlines here of, like, getting Jakob Poeltl, who they went on to re-sign, getting Thaddeus Young, who went on to re-sign. Like, this is just what they do, you know. And so I think for the team, like, you've upgraded your talent undeniably with Brandon Ingram. Like, it's not a debate for me that Ingram is an upgrade over what the Raptors had previously. You've gone off of players that you don't want to keep around, right? Davion Mitchell you didn't see a long-term future for him, so you got, you know, a future second-round pick for him. I'm not complaining about that at all. You get Kelly Olynyk and his deal off your books for next year. Not that it was going to change too much for you, but still, you get him off the books. Bruce Brown, you were never going to re-sign him. You turn him into Brandon Ingram. Like, these are things that I think actually make sense. And again, if the Raptors front office is right and they do truly want to be competitive next year and be a playoff team next year, then these trades move them closer to that versus when they started before this week started. So for that, I think the Raptors actually had a pretty good trade deadline. Like, I would say 4 out of 5. It's not the most perfect fit with Ingram, but also at the same time, I'm going to, like, leave room to be optimistic about a player who's really, really good and really skilled and could really give the Raptors that sort of, like, go-to scorer that they've, like, needed for, you know, a lot of these games here when you see that they struggle on offense. So they still got to re-sign him. They still got to fit him into the roster as well. Got to get him healthy. That's also a concern. But ultimately, I got to say, I'm pretty happy with the trade deadline. I don't know. Does the audience, do you guys feel happy about the trade deadline from the Raptors? Sure. Sure. You know what? Let's change that to a 3. The crowd says sure, so that's 3 Pelinkas. So
man, you're so easily influenced.
I mean, look, they said sure. What do you want to say? What do you think? Are you more excited about the Raptors after this?
I'm about the same. Yeah, so
all right,
we'll see how the rest
two
of the
Pelinkas.
2 Pelinkas.
We're down to 2 Pelinkas.
2 Pelinkas.
Nah, I mean, I'm cool with the front. I'm actually cool with, like, the direction they're going here. But again, now the expectation should be that they're going to be a competitive team next year.
Sure.
Like, once they get everyone healthy, everyone re-signed, that team has to start winning next year. And for the rest of the season, I think there is still a chance to continue tanking. You got to continue to hold and just get Ingram's health right. I think first and foremost, before you re-sign him, get a chance to get IQ fully fit and ready as well. But, I think if we come out of this year, we've added Ingram, we've added whichever first-round pick that they get in this draft, somewhere in the top 5, 6 in that range, and you have a chance to still retain all your pieces moving forward, that's not bad to me. So I'm not mad at this. I'm really not mad at the trade deadline. I'm really not.
So the front office is going to have a press conference anytime now, this afternoon, to talk about the trades.
Yes.
You're heading there for that?
I'll be running there right now.
Before you go, we do have one more breaking news from Shams Charania.
But breaking.
The Philadelphia 76ers are signing Chuma Okeke to a 10-day contract out of NBA G League's Westchester Knicks.
I'm happy for Chuma. Chuma Okeke, do you love me? No, man. I mean, I'm happy for him, man. Good for him.
Don't clap.
Don't clap for anything. James Wiseman for cash.
Don't encourage him.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching, though.
Thank you, everyone.
It has been a really fun trade deadline to cover.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and shouts to everyone in the chat too. I know people have been really tapped in.
Yes.
The last couple days, with the trade deadline and everything, and of course, we'll cover the fallout of the trade. Brandon Ingram's gonna get here at some point, and hopefully play all of that stuff. So yeah, just like and subscribe in the chat. W's in the chat.
One last thing though, huge. Shout out to NBA Courtside Restaurant for hosting us here.
Yeah.
And to everyone who came out live.
Yes.
We did say we were going to take some of the questions, but we kind of rambled on a little too long. But don't worry, Alex and Jerome will be here. So you guys ask Alex and Jerome all the questions.
No, I'm going to see my parents right now.
I'm going to go ask Messai and Bobby some questions on my own. But thanks everyone for watching. This has been the Hello Welcome podcast presented by Betway. And honestly, we'll be back tomorrow when the Raps play OKC.
God damn it.
See you guys.